Hey there folks, this is GreenyXI, welcoming you right back to Let's Play Danganronpa V3, this is episode 30. In last episode, we started off the trial for Angie and Tenko's murder case, and, well, we did everything about Angie so far. I think it was a pretty slow start in my opinion. All we found out was the sliding lock, the back door of the art room, was shut by using the effigy with the katana stuck into it, and then it swung round and hit the lock shut. So the person didn't necessarily have to be in the room when that happened, kind of thing. But how that helps us, we'll find out later on, because our little crew wants to move on to Tenko's case for a sec. So let's see what that unveils.
Yeah, maybe.
They're not wrong, but I don't mind going over Tenko's case. But that was an abrupt change of topic. Was that intentional?
So what do we talk about first?
For now, let's see if we can narrow down the list of suspects.
Tenko probably got killed during the seance, so everyone there's suspicious. Tenko!
The people who attended the seance. Who were they? This is a bit awkward because you're always having to try and look in between and see who they are. Oh, we know Koriki over there, he's in everyone. Shuichi, obviously, Himiko, every one of them. Kibo went after a bit, there's only 4 of them. Oh! Kaito. No, it was... Oh, it wasn't. He nearly peed his pants from the idea of a seance, so no, he wouldn't have, would he? Bollocks.
I was wrong!
I knew it wasn't him. The timer was running out. Okay, so it must have been Kokichi, was it? Was he even in there? Yeah, he was.
That's it! It was me, Kyo, Himiko, and Kokichi.
So those 4 are the culprits!
Oh, Himiko's still culprit?
Well, that's probably just a coinkydink. The most suspicious out of the 4 is really Kyo. He suggested the whole seance idea.
True, I may have suggested it, but I explained the procedure beforehand, yes? If we all knew of it before the murder, then we are all equally suspicious.
Well, I suppose, but...
In addition, the seance wasn't entirely in my control either. I was not the one who selected the room we performed it in. It was Himiko.
However, there are 3 empty rooms. Which one should we use? The middle room. The middle room's always best for stuff like this. Very well. I shall begin the preparations at once.
Oh, right.
Also, we should not limit our suspects to only those who participated in the seance. The empty room had a point of entry from outside, you see.
Point of entry from outside? He must be referring to... Okay, let's see if we can see where it was. Was it the floorboard that was wonky? Was it the spot in the corner? I imagine there was a spot in the corner.
There! You're talking about under the floor, right?
Huh? Under the floor?
Yes, there's a crawl space under the floor a person can move through. There was also a hole that connected it to the neighboring room.
if the culprit used the hole, they could have entered and exited the seance room.
If we consider that possibility, then there is another suspect.
Another suspect? Who?
It's appearing before me. Oh, I can see it clearly. The true identity of Tenko's killer. The culprit sneaked in during the seance by crawling under the floor.
But it was pitch black during the seance. How could they even see if they were under the floor?
Because it wasn't dark under the floor. You see, our villain had a light.
That's wrong! I don't think the culprit could have used a light while under the floor. There was a hole in the corner of the room. If a light were used, it would have leaked through and we would have seen it.
But when we did the seance, the room was definitely pitch black.
So a light was not shined under the floor, which means you cannot claim I am the culprit.
Jeez, here I thought this would be the case where the murder could only be done by a robot.
You have accused me of being the culprit more than once now, simply because I am a robot. My status as a robot does not mean I am capable of performing superhuman feats. My vision is somewhat poor, and I only possess average physical strength and intelligence.
All right, you made your point. God, now I feel sort of bad for you.
I neither want nor need your pity.
Enough with the flashlight! It's way too bright!
It would have been difficult to move around under the floor in that pitch-black darkness. Maybe the floor and the hole have nothing to do with this case.
Then why was floorboard under Tenko lined up funny? Going to think that was so culprit could stab Tenko from underfloor.
Ooh, nice observation, Gonta. Are you finally getting used to the class trials?
Uh-huh. Thank you.
Don't say it like that. You're better off not being used to this kind of stuff.
Maybe they marked Tenko with glowing paint and looked for that. That'd let the culprit find her. Then they could stab her through the floorboards.
Boy, that sounds really familiar too. But I'm just gonna ignore it.
Her corpse didn't have any trace of glowing paint, though.
Oh, yeah. So then why was that floorboard loose?
The loose floorboard was the one under Tenko, right? If the culprit used it while she was still alive, she'd totally notice.
Who fucking cares? Fussing over that won't get us closer to the culprit!
We shouldn't dismiss this line of inquiry, however. Instead of butting our heads against this, how about we concentrate on another issue?
What other issue?
Perhaps first, we should figure out how and when exactly Tenko was killed.
When? So not during seance?
Tenko was in the metal cage for the whole seance, wasn't she? How could someone have gotten to her there?
Maybe the culprit killed her before she went under the metal cage.
That's not possible. She was alive at that point.
This is the point of no return, Tenko. After this point, you mustn't speak. Next time you open your mouth, it'll be Angie speaking through you. Understood. I will not say a word until the seance is over.
Yes, she was unmistakably alive when the seance began.
That was right before we blew out the candles. But when the light came back...
The floorboard was removed at that point, so it's likely she was already dead then.
So she was killed when the room was dark?
But she was inside cage, right? Going to think it impossible to kill her then.
But she wasn't killed when the room was dark. It was a different time.
A different time?
How the fuck should I know? You figure it out, shitheads.
Huh?
Since Gonta said it was impossible, I'm proposing an alternate theory. Now hurry up and think! If you want to make my golden brain tingle, start circle jerking your limp dick brains! When Tenko got killed, it wasn't during the seance.
It could not have been done at any other time. She was under the cage the whole time. And she was dead when the cage was lifted.
What about moment cage was lifted?
That's wrong!
No, it wasn't possible to kill her the moment the cage was lifted. Because the inside of the white cloth had Tenko's blood on it. That cloth was removed before the cage was lifted. If Tenko was stabbed then, there wouldn't be blood on the cloth.
What? But how could my golden brain be wrong when it felt so right?
The only possibility is that Tenko was killed during the seance.
I got your remodel right here! No, it's still wrong to think that Tenko was killed during the seance.
What?
I'm gonna prove it right now! My golden brain is gonna go all out! Tenko died after the seance. It happened when the sheet was lifted. That was the moment the culprit chose to stab the fuck out of Tenko through the cage! They stuck the thin blade through the gaps of the cage, and that clean white sheet got stained blood red!
But the weapon was a sickle. Only the blade could have fit through the gaps.
The blade's all you need! If you stick the blade through a gap in the cage, it'd be long enough to reach Tenko, sitting in there with her neck all exposed.
I'll cut through your words! Wait just a minute. Tenko wasn't sitting down inside the cage. She was bent over with her forehead against the marker stone, and the cage itself was about 3 feet tall. The sickle's blade was too short to reach Tenko while she was in that position.
Then I messed up again? How could this happen? I am so embarrassed.
No worries, Mew. Everyone already knows you're an embarrassment to the human race.
Yeah, no worries.
How embarrassing!
If Shuichi is right, then it's impossible for Tenko to have been killed through the cage.
She couldn't have been killed during the seance since she was in the cage, right?
If she was killed then, the cloth over the cage would have been pierced.
Not during the seance or from below the floor. Then it's impossible, isn't it?
Yeah, for a living person.
Huh?
What if Angie's spirit killed Tenko?
What are you talking about? That's not possible!
You don't know that. Some things are impossible for a human, but not for a spirit.
Don't say stupid stuff like that! Screw spirits!
Stop that now.
Angie's spirit killed Tenko? But why?
Himiko?
Why would Angie's spirit kill Tenko?
What if Tenko killed Angie, and then Angie's spirit came back for revenge?
Like I said, that's impossible! Spirits can't be culprits!
Then explain how the culprit killed Tenko under these impossible circumstances.
Well,
See? You can't explain, can you? Only a spirit could have done that!
Wait! I know! What if the culprit was hiding inside the cage? If they were in there, they could have stabbed Tenko during the seance!
No. If there was someone else in the cage, we would have noticed.
I agree with Kaito. The culprit could have been inside the cage.
You do?
Nonsense. There was no space in the cage for the culprit to hide.
Maybe the culprit wouldn't need to hide in the first place.
What?
Also, the culprit could have killed her in the cage at any time. I think you know what I'm getting at, right?
The they she's referring to. Okay. Come on. All the way. There we go. Tenko.
I believe Maki is referring to Tenko herself.
What did you say? Are you saying Tenko is the culprit?
She committed suicide.
Suicide?
If she committed suicide, it would explain a lot of things we couldn't figure out. She volunteered to be in the cage, and then stabbed herself during the seance. It wouldn't matter how dark the room was.
But the sickle she was stabbed with was under the floor, right? If Tenko had stabbed herself, wouldn't the sickle still be inside the cage?
Oh my god. Mew actually said something smart.
Perhaps that explains why the floorboard was removed. After stabbing herself with the sickle, she threw it underneath the floor.
So she took off the floorboard to get rid of the sickle?
Yes, that makes sense to Gonta.
Well, it doesn't make sense to me. There's no reason for Tenko to commit suicide.
Maybe I wasn't too far off with the theory I had earlier. You know, about Tenko killing Angie.
Yeah?
Because Tenko and Angie were fighting for your attention, right?
Hey Angie, when did you brainwash Himiko?
Tenko's pent-up frustration led her to commit such an atrocity. Her conscience couldn't handle it anymore, so she decided to end her own life.
What?
But if she was gonna kill herself, why do it during the seance?
She wanted to hide the truth of her suicide.
Really?
There could only be one reason to hide it in a killing game, right? It's to take us down with her.
Take us down?
She wanted us to pick the wrong answer during the class trial, so she could bring us all down. She wanted us to die with her. Okay, well, she probably just wanted Himiko to die with her, but still.
What are you saying? Tenko wasn't like that. She told me.
Keep your chin up and live life facing forward. Survive with me and everyone else.
What if all of that was just a lie?
A lie?
Wait! We should believe Tenko's last words!
The true terror of class trials is that you shouldn't believe everything said.
Himiko, you said that Tenko would never do anything like that. But how can you be so sure? Did you guys actually know each other? People keep all sorts of secrets. Like Maki. She hid the fact that she's a cold-blooded killer. Is it wise of us to trust other people wholeheartedly in this kind of situation?
Jeez, you're such a naive dude.
Naive?
We're all just people, you know? Of course we're gonna have some secrets. What matters is whether there's any malice behind them.
People can lie about how malicious their hidden secrets really are.
Well, duh. It's impossible to know for sure what others are thinking. That's why it all comes down to whether or not you believe in yourself. If you get betrayed, it's not their fault. It's your fault for believing in them. That's why I believed in Maki Roll, because I wanted to believe in her.
Just because you're acting all cool doesn't mean you get to skip training.
Hey, come on. Don't you think you're being a little too strict?
Well, we come from different backgrounds. So for now, let's agree to disagree. No one's ever called me naive before. And from Kaito? Seriously?
Whether or not I believe, my heart can't reach Tenko anymore. But I want to believe in her. She wouldn't commit suicide. She wouldn't try to take us down. That's what I want to believe!
Me too. Gonta no can believe Tenko commits suicide.
But if Tenko did commit suicide, that would answer all of our questions.
If you insist we believe in Tenko, then provide a reason to do so.
A proper reason?
All right, I'll give you a reason.
Is there a reason?
Yes, there is. Will you trust me, Maki? If it turns out I'm wrong, you can blame me all you like. But for now, I need you to trust in my detective work.
I don't believe Tenko would kill herself because of what she said. Okay everyone, I'll see you guys after the seance. She said, see you guys after. I doubt she had a sudden change of heart. Just because we don't know how she was killed, doesn't mean that it was suicide. We shouldn't be satisfied with that. If we keep thinking, we'll find the truth. And that means we have to believe in Tenko. I'll make them all believe.
So far, suicide seems to be the best explanation.
Her plan was to take us down with her. So she hid her true intentions.
Tenko's not that kind of person! But if Tenko did commit suicide, it would explain how she died during the seance.
She could have secretly brought the sickle and then stabbed herself with it.
Finally, with the last of her strength, she threw the sickle underneath the floor. All the pieces fit.
So far, suicide...
Finally, with the last of her strength,
I'll reveal the truth. Tenko couldn't have thrown the sickle under the floor because she died instantly.
instantly,
Her death might not have been instant, but she couldn't have gone far before she bled out.
I'm certain of it. My investigation determined that she died instantly.
What's your opinion, Maki? I'd like to hear from someone who specializes in murder.
Maki.
You're right. I completely forgot about that important detail. Tenko died instantly.
what?
As an assassin, I specialize in killing my targets swiftly. I have no doubt that Tenko was killed immediately.
Words of a true killer. Pretty sure we can believe everything she said.
Thank you, Maki.
How could you forget that, Maki Roll? You better apologize to Shuichi.
Excuse me?
It's okay, Kaito, really. No apology necessary. Anyway, Tenko died so suddenly that she couldn't have gotten rid of the sickle. Knowing that, the theory that she killed herself just doesn't fit, correct?
Just like I thought. Tenko wouldn't commit suicide.
Thank goodness, Himiko.
Which means someone definitely killed Tenko during the seance.
Her suicide was considered because we could not determine how she was killed.
No, there must have been a way. We're gonna figure it out.
Did any of the participants witness anything peculiar during the seance? If you know something, please speak up.
Not a bad idea. We should remember what happened at the seance. Let me try to remember. I'm sure there's something. I need some kind of clue that will help me solve this mystery.
Did anything seem out of the ordinary during the seance?
There is something that bothers me. The fact that the seance failed. The ritual was perfect, and yet it failed. How utterly strange.
Now that I think about it, while we were all singing the song, I heard something fall.
I'm more concerned about how dark it got in there. I mean, it was totally pitch black. My job was to relight the candles. Moving along the walls was seriously tough.
Did anything seem
Out of the ordinary during the seance? There is something that bothers me. The fact that the seance failed. The ritual was perfect.
Yet it failed.
How utterly strange. While we were all singing the song, I heard something fall.
I agree! Himiko, you think that something fell because of that sound you heard, right?
It sounded like something heavy fell down and hit the floor really hard. What could have fallen down?
Fallen down? There wasn't anything on the ceiling that could have fallen down, right?
Am I wrong? I thought something fell, but
The sound was pretty loud. It did seem like something hit the floorboards.
Loud sound. Like something hit the floorboards. Maybe that sound has something to do with the other thing that happened in the dark. Okay, let's have a quick look through. There we go. Loose floorboard.
This is it! I think the floorboard coming off had something to do with that sound. That floorboard came loose at some point during the seance, right?
would the floorboard have made such a loud sound, though?
It was the sound of an intense impact.
If the impact was that intense, then it could have loosened the floorboard.
That's true. There would have had to have been a strong impact to make that sound. But what was it? What could it possibly be?
Alright then, let's go with that. We all gotta put our heads together now. So what made the floorboard come loose?
Judging from the sound, there must have been considerable force.
Someone who participated in the seance. Maybe that person tore off the floorboard.
That wouldn't make such a loud crashing sound.
Maybe the wooden statue fell over.
But that statue was still on top of the cage.
Culprit hide under floor. Then stood up with such might.
But we already said there was no one under the floor.
Someone must have stomped through the floorboard.
I agree. Kokichi is right. The floorboard came loose because someone stomped on it.
The floorboards fit perfect. Going to make sure first time we go to empty room.
When we first saw the room, yes. But when I looked again during the investigation, one of the cross pieces supporting the floorboards was cut off. After examining the cut, I concluded that it must have been done deliberately.
Someone? You mean the culprit, right? Why'd they do that?
What did the culprit stand to gain by cutting the cross piece?
What did they stand to gain? That's the question. To solve the case, I need to think carefully about the crosspiece and floorboard. Tenko's body was at one end of the loose floorboard, and the crosspiece that had been cut was on the other end of the floorboard. The unspotted part was outside the cage, so it could have been stomped on. Only one of the crosspieces was cut, the other two were intact. One of them was right under Tenko, and the other was in the centre, right about where the edge of the cage was. What was the culprit's attempt to achieve by stomping on the floorboard? What was he attempting to achieve? Think, come on, think. Here we go, Hangman, we haven't had this, well obviously for a bit, since last chapter probably. Right, so we need, oop, S, E, Ah, we got it all. No, we haven't. Just the first word. Seesaw. I guess this could be confusing. Just not knowing what the second word could be. Right. Ah, there we go. C. Come on, C. Oh, shit. Oh, the torch. There. I did see a T, but I can't remember where it was. There. Done. Seesaw effect.
I see now. That's right. The floorboard might have been used as a seesaw.
Huh? A seesaw?
The crosspiece at one end of the floorboard had been cut off. The other two crosspieces holding up that board were close to the cage. Meaning, if you were to apply force to the end of the floorboard with no crosspiece, the next crosspiece would act as a fulcrum to turn the floorboard into a lever. A lever capable of lifting up Tenko's entire body.
whole body lifted up?
Yeah, that sounds like a seesaw, all right. But why bother lifting Tenko's body?
They couldn't have killed Tenko like that. Unless they used the sickle.
That's exactly it. Using the seesaw trick, it was possible to kill Tenko with a sickle.
Huh?
In order for the culprit to kill Tenko with a seesaw trick, the placement of the sickle is the most important factor.
The floorboard seesaw, the cage, and the blood on the white fabric. What conclusions can I draw from this? There's only one place the sickle could have been that's consistent with the evidence. Where was the sickle when Tenko was killed? She was on top of the cage, right? It was on top of the cage?
That's it! The sickle was at the top of the iron cage, with the blade facing down. The reason we didn't see it was because of the fabric covering the cage. Also, the wooden statue kept the blade in place. It's true that the sickle's handle was thick, which made the statue wobble, but the statue's weight kept it from falling over. Once everything was in place, if you stepped hard enough on the seesaw, Tenko's body would have shot upward and hit the blade on the top of the cage. She was bent over, meaning the sickle's blade would have connected with her neck.
The 6-inch sickle blade wasn't long enough to stab Tenko in her crouched position. But with the floorboard acting as a seesaw, it could compensate for the blade's length.
Bringing the victim to the sickle rather than bringing the sickle to the victim. That's definitely an unorthodox idea.
It's crazy, but it would explain how Tenko got stabbed while she was in the cage.
So the sound we heard was the culprit stomping on the floorboard.
That impact make floorboard come loose.
Looks like we got ourselves a good old-fashioned seesaw homicide. Wait, what the hell's a seesaw homicide? That's fucking crazy!
The craziness is what really makes the killing game fun, you know? They can't get away with murder the normal way, so they gotta think outside the box. Kudos, culprits! You did a great job keeping me entertained.
Indeed. Well played, Himiko.
Yeah?
It was you, wasn't it? The one behind the seesaw homicide.
Why her?
Because she's the only one capable of carrying out this plan.
The only one? Why's that?
Because this seesaw homicide required its location to be prepared beforehand.
By cutting the crosspiece beneath the floorboard, you mean?
Then the culprit would need to lure their victim into the prepared room. That is why you chose that room for the seance. Is it not, Himiko?
However, the 3 empty rooms, which one should we use? Repeating it. The middle room. The middle room's always best for stuff like this.
Oh yeah! Himiko was the one who chose the site for the seance!
She likely found out about my plans for the seance somehow.
You were quite vocal about the seance, Kyo. You even had instructions for it in your lab.
Our culprit, Himiko, prepared her seesaw trap ahead of time. Then she waited for me to host the seance and suggested the middle room. She led us all into holding the seance right where she wanted it. Then, she killed Tenko, all according to plan.
That's a lie, right? Himiko did such a thing?
In the end, Himiko, who Tenko cherished and loved, tragically killed her.
Wait! We don't know that, right? He's wrong, right, Himiko? Himiko would never kill Tenko, right?
Kill Tenko? I killed Tenko?
Himiko?
What's wrong, Himiko?
It is true that using the middle room was Himiko's idea, but does that mean that Himiko really killed Tenko? Would something like that really happen? Something so cruel? Oh, intermission. made it to the midway point. I was hoping for that as well, because, you know, I was bugged out on the chapter 1 one. When we stopped midway. And honestly, I am so out of breath. And pretty tired now. So, this has been Greeny XI. Hope you've enjoyed. Thank you so much for watching. Could Himiko really have been the killer of her 2 best mates throughout this experience? I don't know. Find out next time. Thanks again for watching, folks. See you again in a bit.
She led us all into holding the seance right where she wanted it.